Yes, we are ready.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, I would like to call to order the City Property Committee meeting today, March 3rd, 2026, at 5:44 p.m. We can take a roll call, please.
Chairman Koviak, Councilor Russo.
Yeah.
Councilor Moreno, here, 2 in attendance.
All right, item number 1, is there any public input? Anybody sign up?
No.
How about online, Dante?
We have one person online. I'll ask. If you are currently waiting online to speak for public input for the City Property Committee, can you please press the raise hand button at this time? And I see no hands.
Okay, and I also, before we go ahead with the agenda, we do have one email or public input from Mr. Michael Rompelli of Longleat Court. I'd like to just make that part of the official minutes of the meeting. No need to vote, correct? Okay, Councilor Moreno, number 2, please.
Yeah.
Mr. President.
Item 2 is a communication from Frank J. Ilos to Artie, I believe is the city will like the purchase and the sales agreement of 142 South. And I move that the communication is taken up.
Been moved by Councilor Marino, seconded by Council Mercer, that we take up the communication from Frank J. Milos, Esquire, City Solicitor, to Michelle Harvey, MNC Deputy City Clerk, purchase and sales of anything from 142 South Bend Street. All right, so from taking up, who would like to read this? Council Milos, that be you?
Yeah, I can read this. So, I've been over the course of the past year, meeting with, representatives of colleagues, specifically, Megan Obrilla and, Bill Conley, who represents the school committee. First, we were meeting with, as was reported, I think, mentioned some of the newspapers, meeting with various folks who were approaching city property and getting toward this. I've been having surveys done later, and during the course of that discussion, we went on to, there were certain properties, specifically those properties on South Bend Street, that we might be interested in purchasing. Not necessarily because we need them for the high school project, but because we wanted them. We thought that they would enhance the project, right? As the objector indicates in his email, my letter to you is vague because I'm not a planner, I'm not a designer. I don't purport to be. I can't tell you with any certainty what we will actually do with that corner lot, if in fact the council authorizes my office to move forward relative to the intended purchase of those lots that make up 142 South Bend Street. But even though this is a school department project, it's the city of Pawtucket that has to actually take title to the property. So, again, if the committee has questions about what the absolute certain intended use of that corner lot is going to be, you have to defer to them. My understanding is we have no intention of keeping the building up, and we will use that corner to enhance the project. There were other parcels, so if you're facing the Anvet post from that location all the way down to the diner, the city had expressed an interest in purchasing land, but most of the property owners weren't interested. And it really just came down to this one particular address that did express the interest. So 142 South Bend Street is out in the section. So this is plat 24, lot 599, and 524, lot 608. Interestingly, and I didn't know this until a few weeks back, anticipating I'm trying to get ahead of myself, but I did it to a certain extent. I sent this out to the title company to just let them have notice that I was going to need them to run a title search on this. They ran preliminary on that and came back to me with information that I was surprised at. We actually owned lot 599 at one point. We conveyed it to the end that in 1998. I was here then, but I didn't work on that. I looked at the deed and I said, no, that wasn't me that drafted that deed. What was even more interesting was there was a word clause in that said at the end that ever ceased to exist, not move, but cease to exist, then the property would automatically be going back to the city. But even if you could construe cease to exist with leaving the premises and moving someplace else, which I don't think you can. Under state law, any revert clause is void after 20 years. And so that revert clause really had no force in effect after 20 years anyway. I only let you know that just for transparency's sake, that the last deed, well, the last deed on record basically does contain that revert clause. All things being equal, though, Bill Conley and I had a conversation about what I just mentioned, a little longer conversation. We came to the conclusions that I just indicated to you. We did have the property appraised, reappraised in October, and the appraiser came back for both lots together at 195,000. And they're willing to sell us the two lots for 165,000. Now, it is unfortunate that we have to pay for a lot that we actually conveyed to them. From what I can see, it says of valuable consideration, but I am feeling certain they sell it for a great value. But in any event, the Colliers believes, the designers believe that this will enhance the overall unified high school project. I don't have any evidence to the contrary. And so I defer to the committee to decide whether we should pursue the purchase or not.
So one thing I will say off the get-go is a couple of things. First of all, Grace, been a good business partner with the city of Myers, it's the resident versus district. But it's always helpful that we don't have an establishment that serves alcohol on the corner lot of where a high school is. Right now, it's not. When they were there, they didn't expect the high school to be there. It was McCoy Stadium. So to me, that's a positive for this. Is there, if we use it for anything with the school department decides to do that, is this part of any kind of reimbursable with the state funding?
Yes.
So if they do anything school related to that project, with that, we'll be looking at the same percentage, coming back to the city as the project itself of high school.
My understanding is whatever the percentage of reimbursement that we get.
So say 90%.
Yeah, this would be part of that.
So that would be, it would go down to somewhere where instead of 165,000 would be somewhere between 16 and 20.
That sounds about right.
Okay. Yeah. Anything from the floor?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because we heard two different times from Mr. Pompelli objecting here that costs are not reimbursable. It's 100% acquisition, demolition, construction, all reimbursable at whatever rate we're going to get. Only thing not reimbursable, correct me if I'm wrong here, Frank, is associated with closed costs.
That's correct.
Title, legal fees, which is $2,000-3,000.
Yeah, I mean, really, you're not paying me anything extra to do what I do in-house. It's just, we do have to pay an outside attorney to run title, and ultimately, we want to have that attorney issue a title policy in the city. So whatever that cost is, which is, that's not really.
So if we're on hook for the 10% of it, that's 16,500, and as a window of 3,500 gets into that 20 grand. So that ratio that I
20
was.
grand to reacquire, acquire but reacquire one that we given to them in 1998 jives, because that's when we were redoing the McCoy Stadium. And that parcel there took into consideration part of the McCoy Stadium annex left field follow. Yeah, so that's why it's set up the way it is.
And it takes a liquor serving establishment out of the corner of that
It
lot,
does.
which is, to me is, I think is a win.
And it improved the overall budget.
We had actually, we thought we might even be able to get the next parcel over.
Yeah.
It's been marketed for sale. I think they still have it for sale. Some, they're under contract. I don't know why they didn't. We had conversations with them. But notwithstanding that, Megan went back to the folks that she talked to, design, and they said, you know, we still think there's value in taking it in. And again, just to be good, right? We don't need a good project, but we want.
And that's advised by the Colliers and indeed by the architect. It makes it easy
With us.
on a necessity. A valuable acquisition.
That's what.
So that's the one which provides the illegal properties. The contract.
We were surprised. I talked to the broker, he didn't have any idea that we were interested, he wishes that he knew. But we'll just wait and see, sometimes real estate transactions that help you, really lie with them, so we're gonna keep our eye on this. And if it turns out that, for whatever reason, that it doesn't close, then we'll reach out and see if there's an interest in selling with us. But I think that was probably as far as we would move well, because in the next property owner had no interest. And then, so we really didn't get into a real serious discussion with the law by or the diner. We had discussions with them, but without having a property in the middle, that really kind of defeated them any further. So, here we are. Big call from someone who said, big, damn, that's no longer done that. This thing I wanted, no, they still exist, they just want to, and they don't.
And the Amvex was there when, as far as I know, the Amvex was there when Bench was doing. But it is
Yeah, I mean,
beneficial to get. And so they've always been, huh?
Those 70s.
That was 1975.
I remember.
okay.
All right. I would like to move to rack. And approval. The whole council, the purchase and the sale agreement. So it's more than two. We want to stop. Absolutely.
I said the move by Council Marino, second by President Rest of that. We recommend approval to the full city council of the purchase and sales agreement for 142 South Bend Street. Any further questions or discussions? I'm good. I'd like to take a vote.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, roll call, please. Stop it.
David Russo,
Yes.
Moreno,
Yes.
President Mercer.
Yes.
3-0.
Okay, so let's, if it's okay with you, four, I'd like to take 2, 3, 4, and 5 all together because they're all signing each other. So if you don't mind.
Absolutely. 7-3 is a communication from Tyler D. Rounds, the president of the United Southwark Havens. To the honorable members of Suffolk City Council, the project of the home of lease. And citizens that slip. Park, I don't. Or the communication from. The law firm's recreation manager to the honorable members of the Suffolk City. Or of the renewal of the lease of Sessions of Twitter. Art. I does a. Draft. He's between the city of Pawtucket. But then talk about or the. On the Sessions areas. Part I move to that the the communication process. I owe them, the things, he's, enough.
All right, so moved by Council Moreno, seconded by President Mercer, that we file and take up to following communication from Leonard E. Rounds, President, Len's Hot Dog Haven Incorporated, to the honorable members of the Pawtucket City Council, 5-year contract renewal for lease and concessions at Slater Park. And number 4, communication from Luis McLaughlin, Recreation Manager, to the honorable members of the Pawtucket City Council, support of the renewal of the lease of concessions at Slater Memorial Park. And number 5, to take up a draft lease between the city of Pawtucket and Len's Hot Dog Haven Incorporated for the concession areas at Slater Memorial Park. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good enough. Who would be like to read this?
Lenny is sick today, so he wasn't able to make it. So I'm filling in to answer any questions that you might have. As the memo see, Luke McLaughlin, the recreation manager, is supporting. Lenny's was one of the first tenants at the Daggett Farm. With the ice cream, the hot dog, and he extended the whole lease after the other tenants left. So we haven't had no issues with him throughout the years. So, you know, we recommend to extend the lease.
You don't even know anything about
This is just an extension. It's pretty much in concert with the paragraph that's going away now for the second 5 years, right?
That's correct.
And so long as he gave us notice, he perfected the request for
That's
an
correct.
extension.
That's correct. So, we cleaned up the first page today. I had basically just presented this to Michelle as a template. I didn't realize it had gone out to the council, you know, out those changes to the first page. I haven't heard anything to the contrary about what the rental will be, so I just kept the $12,000 a year per year. Again, I'll defer to the council there, and it would be for a 5-year term. We took out 4 because it's gonna have to go out to Gillian at the expiration of this next 5 years. And from my perspective, beyond page 1, everything else is pretty much boilerplate, or it's at least been provisions that have been in the lease for years now. And I believe there was these suggestions from Luke that anything else be changed in terms of lessor, lessee obligations, things of that nature. So again, I defer to the committee if there's anything else that you think should be altered or amended in that fashion. But like I said, most of it is boilerplate. So
It's Council.
I just got one question. I noticed someone maybe 6 months ago kind of reached out and wanted to do like a wedding venue in the park or some type of stuff like that, but was asking about a catering type of deal. Does Len have that option to turn around and, you know, sublease it out to people if they come in with that type of proposal? I think they were trying to propose it to the council that we open the park up to everybody, but Lenny's got an exclusive arrangement that he's leasing that out there.
He is, Rick and I talked about this morning, the only provision outside of page 1 that might be outside the realm of what I call boilerplate is section 23, which is special events, where the city does reserve the right to allow outside members into the park for certain events. That's always been in there, as I recall it.
Okay.
So technically, he does have the superior right, but again, subject to our reservation to allow events, walkathons, birthday parties, are the examples that were given provision. So I mean, you can take a look at that section. In a few moments just to go through it, but it's section 23. So I think that gives us the reservation that we need. And Chris, I'm not aware of there ever being any conflicts or issues over the years relative to that provision and Pawtucket going in saying we want to hold a special event for this reason, that reason.
Yeah, that was about, there is, I think you're saying if somebody's looking to rent the pavilion, as long as they follow those guidelines with the Department of Health and stuff, they're allowed to bring in their own food to that venue, so.
But they hire,
But they have to stay within
It
that.
was like a house, it was
so they hire a caterer, like if I'm.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as they stay within
Yeah.
the grounds of the pavilion.
I suppose, Mark, I didn't actually answer your question directly. You asked specifically about signing or subletting. If you look at section 16,
yeah,
fairly standard, lessees shall not assign this lease or sublet the premises in whole or in part without each such case having first obtained the consent of writing of the city. So he can't sublet or sublease. If he wants to, he has to come to us.
Okay.
And we have to say it.
it was just somebody that reached out to the whole council in an email. Yeah, I think it was like 6 months to a year ago, and they had said something about wanting to do those type of venues in the park. And I knew Glenn was exclusive, he had an exclusive contract for being the vendor, so I didn't know if it had to go through him or if it was still something that the city could approve with working together with.
And if I may, to that point, though, I mean, we think about the arts festival, we have a bunch of food trucks and what have you. And I think if there was an exclusive nature to that, that would be something we'd have to fight override. I think I'm looking at the special events and like you said, Councilor Miles, I think that's good. You know, city reserves the right to allow outside vendors in the park for certain events that take place throughout the year. You know, people rent out the spaces, so I think we'd be okay. I don't think, for me, I'm not a welfare, obviously, but I think 23 as it's written, is suffice.
Yeah, and that's the reason it's in there, because we
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that we still have the ability, as we deem appropriate, to have special events.
But a wedding is not a city special event.
No, it's,
I think that was your original question.
Yeah.
So if somebody rented the pavilion, purpose of having a bridal shower or a wedding, and they were engaging a licensed caterer, that would.
yeah, my understanding is we do that, right, Chris, we do that all the time.
It's in the pavilion, yes.
And it does say, you know, event organizers may submit a written request to allow for additional licensed mobile food vendors, so. You know, maybe that's part of the process. If you had a wedding, you know, you have a mobile food vendor, you ask for a permission. So I don't think this would interfere with that. I don't, it's somewhat reading.
And again, it's an extension. I haven't had a problem in the previous 5 years, so why would we expect those?
Right, and that's probably what I meant.
Rick said 2011.
I think, I really 2011, I found it going to 2011, it may have gone even before that.
Yeah, definitely before. Yeah, I remember bringing my kid to a little.
There wasn't always when I first started way back. It wasn't.
No, but for as long as I can remember now, it has been.
It's
When I get the link. Right.
He was a tenant within,
That's right.
with that group.
You know, the Anthony.
Yeah.
So if we move forward with this, we would have to amend the, before, we have to look at them, because we're striking out the options with sand pot. Right?
Yeah, you just approved it without the corrected dates and the, without the section 4 regarding.
Okay, but, all right, but we don't have to, okay, got it.
Yeah, because you, when you do an amendment, you amend the resolution.
Yeah.
But this is just whatever they sign is under the legal.
Okay, sounds good. And
Yeah, again, unless the committee has a different approach systems of performing the rent.
Not the ordinance on it.
Don't know.
That's 650.
All right.
With the. There's a motion by Councilor Marino, seconded by President Mercer, that we. Approve the recommendation of the lease agreement, it's gotta go through the full city council, right? Yeah. All right, to the full city council with the, it's okay, with the omission of. Part number 4 with the option to extend. Any further discussion? Clerk, could you please take a roll call?
Chairman Russo.
Yes.
Councilor Moreno. Yeah, us. President Mercer.
Yes.
No further business, fail, Sean, yeah.
Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, President Mercer, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Everything's working, everything good?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Everything good?
All good.
All right, you want the committee, will come to order, Russell Polo. Here.
Yeah.
Is there anyone for public input? Not anyone for public input?
If anybody's currently waiting online to speak for public input for the ordinance committee, can you please press the raise hand button at this time? And I see no raise hands.
Thank you. Nisi, if you want to read number 2, then you stay away, I'll bring it up and stuff.
An ordinance and amendment of chapters 210 of the code of ordinances of the city of Pawtucket, 1996, entitled Fire Prevention Code, outdoor burning and shooting. I move for discussion.
Motion made by Council Wynn and by Council Reagan, that an ordinance and amendment of chapter 210 of the code of ordinances of the city of Pawtucket, 1996, entitled Fire Prevention Code, outdoor burning and cooking, must be brought up for discussion. Chief.
Yes, sir.
This is yours, my friend. You want to just go over what changes you made and stuff?
So we didn't really make a lot of changes. The old ordinance didn't give us any avenue to deal with people that were, burning trash and burning things they shouldn't be burning. So basically what we did is we added a couple provisions on here. The biggest one is we added, it has to be burned within a UL approved device. So in the old days, people would just get a 55-gallon drum, throw their trash in it and burn it. So we've eliminated that. If you're gonna have an outside fire of any type, you have to have it in a UL listed device. So whether it's a gas fireplace or whatever. And then what we did is, there's a bunch of stuff that's listed in here. It just defines cooking equipment. And then we've got limits of like, you can't be less than 50 feet from a structure, because in the past there was no real, you could put it under your canopy on your porch. So we tried to go through and make it so that everybody can have a fire as long as they follow the rules. And then if somebody is not following the rules, we have an avenue to stop them now, which we didn't really have that control before.
When you say UL listed or UL approved, does that mean whatever device is being used, it actually has to have like a sticker on it or something?
Yeah, it would have a sticker, or they'd have to prove that it was approved, when they purchased it, it was a UL listed device.
Right. And we never had the structure, the 50 feet, that wasn't part of that before, right?
Right, there's also another one in here where, with the smoke, can't see where it is, but basically what it does is, like, if you're, we've had people where they'll burn like wet wood, or they'll burn, it looks like wood, but it's not, it just gives up a lot of smoke and toxic fumes to everybody. In the old days, they used to just go get a hot dog and say, oh, we're cooking on it,
Right.
and you really couldn't do anything. So now, if you become a nuisance, we can go over and say, it's not an UL approved device, and if it is, you're being a nuisance by what you're burning, so you have to put it out.
Yeah, because that's maybe D2, it's a permanent barbecue, portable barbecues. Outdoor fireplaces, barrels or grills shall not be used for the disposal of burning or rubbish. Is that it?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about 4 and 5. Is that something new too about the balcony, like definition of a balcony? Like, we have a lot of tenements, right, all over the state. So you got the tenements, you have the porches in front, could be a second or third floor. I'll drive around, sometimes you'll see, there'll be like something up there, a barbecue of some sort, or a hibachi, whatever. So how does that apply to that? I don't know if that's the same thing we're talking about or what.
It is, if you read number 3, no hibachi grill, other device. Then you go down to under any hanging portion or within 10 feet of any structure.
Okay.
Because somebody's like, if you got a lot of the tenement houses,
Right.
they got a wooden porch right above them.
Oh, yeah.
So nothing's, if it gets out of control, you're gonna burn the.
So that's never gonna be allowed anymore. Anything on those porches, they're gonna have to cook in the backyard.
Right, as long as they meet the requirements. I mean, if their porch for some reason is 20 feet deep,
Oh,
then
okay.
they can do it.
Right.
They just can't be within 10 feet.
Within 10 feet, okay, and it has to be well approved, well listed too. And did you model this over? I think I was hearing you guys think it before any other city that's.
No, so this is right out of the state fire code.
Okay,
And then we just, one of the things we added was, we put the definition of authority having jurisdiction so that it makes it clear to anybody that's asking that the fire department or myself has the authority to shut them down if they're not abiding by the ordinance. And then we just Michelle had also added, UL listed, give a definition of what it is in case somebody's curious. If their device is, can I use this or not? It just tells you what the UL listed means.
Are there any fines for this or something if people are doing this or no? Do we just-
So we do have a separate provision that we could fine people if they become a nuisance, and it would be enforced, it would be taken care of by the zoning department. And then it would be enforced that way, but we don't envision it happening. Most people, you know, all the time I've been here, if you just go out and tell somebody, like, listen, you're being a nuisance, and have a fire, but you gotta keep it down, whatever. We've never had an issue where after one or two times of telling them that they just stop. So it's not, but this is just really to have an avenue to address a problem person.
Right, basically, right, kind of, sort of sniff out the bad.
Right.
You know what I mean, maintain the good.
I mean, almost everybody we've ever dealt with, it's like everybody, they just wanna go out, have a small little campfire,
Right.
sit by it, just talk, and almost everyone that we go to is never out of control,
Right.
you know? So this just allows you to do that.
For the homemade structures, say they make something out of bricks or whatever they make in the middle of the yard and stuff, is that burn and stuff, is that okay?
Not really,
Some people probably have existing ones already in the backyard.
But they're-
I'm not saying a lot,
Yeah.
5 bits,
Right.
maybe they made it themselves or they buy those, they buy them over at, you know, wherever the stores and stuff like that.
yeah, so again, they would come with a UL listing,
Okay,
that's really the whole thing, you don't wanna have people making their own fire pits, they use a 55-gallon drum or
Right.
whatever. This just, fine, you wanna burn, there's no problem with burning,
right,
just get a UL, they sell fire pits that are UL approved,
right.
you know?
But the people that made, just, there's gotta be a couple out there that have some homemade, I would think. I mean, are we looking the other way if somebody complains about it, or would we enforce it?
We would go and enforce it and just have a discussion with them, because
Yeah.
most people aren't gonna know about this.
Right,
And most of the people, there's so many people that burn on a daily basis in the summer, you never know about 95% of them.
right,
Unless somebody complains, or they're causing a problem with
yeah,
burning wet wood or whatever. Most people just, like I said, most people just wanna sit in the backyard, have a little campfire, and they don't bother anybody.
which authority would go out, because I know back in the day when I would get calls, I was always confused, is that a zoning matter? Or is that a fire department matter? I know this says the approved authority, but is there a list of, like, who would we call first? of the-
So it's the fire department, we
Okay.
handle any kind of burning, so we would go out, we would assess the situation. If there being a problem, you know, we'll usually make them put it out that night, if it's an issue. But if we go back the next night, then we would talk to zoning and say, hey, could you pay a visit to whatever the address is,
Okay,
and explain it to them. So, but most, like I said, most people, all these years, I've never really had too many repeat customers that
right,
just keep pushing the envelope,
right.
so.
Questions? Go ahead, Council Greg, is there a question? Okay, go ahead, sure.
Chief, thanks for coming. I'm sorry, I forgot my copy of the,
That's it.
I'm just trying to figure out what's.
Oh, that's right, yeah, we have one here.
Oh, you do it?
People were afraid to sit next to them.
Hold on. Now, what's the difference in the 50 feet structure versus the 10 feet on a porch?
One is cooking and one is outside just burning. So A is the outside burning, up on the next page. Permitted open fires for purposes other than cooking. Shall not be less than 50 feet. If you go down to the other one, it says no hibachi grill or other device, but cooking, heating, you know, within 10 feet of any structure. That's the difference in it.
Okay, so. What exactly does UL mean?
It's right, it's actually,
Is this
see,
in
for
there?
people like you that don't really know, it's right on the first page.
Underwriter's lab.
Underwriter's laboratory. It gives you the whole definition of what it actually is. It's just an independent laboratory that tests devices to make sure they're safe, though.
I mean, it's been around for a long time, chief, right? But it's like you see it, but then you don't really, you just go, oh, you well, whatever, they just don't even think
Because
about it.
pretty much
But it's
everything,
important, though, you know?
yeah, pretty much everything in this country is UL approved. I mean,
Right.
People aren't gonna take the risk of putting something out that's not UL approved,
Right.
so.
So if someone was to buy a kit with bricks and all that from like Home Depot, Lowe's, something like that, that would be. Says approved, right?
As long as it's got a UL listing on it, but it would have to have a sticker on the kit.
Still a kit, that's not.
Right, you would think they'd sell it, you.
Right.
Like he's talking about the homemade stuff, it's probably not good,
Right.
It's, you know, I don't know what's out there now with that, but it's not like they're gonna go searching for that. either.
Yeah, and again, this is just to protect everybody.
Thank you.
You know, you don't wanna have somebody build a fire pit and it's not done right, and then they start putting these huge fires in them, and somebody gets hurt from it.
I appreciate the work, chief. I know this has been around for a while. So President Mercer was the chair of the ordinance committee back when it first started, so I know it's going through several meetings and it was tabled and stuff, so postponed, but. No, I appreciate doing all the work on it. I think it's fine. A lot of teeth in it now. It looks like, I think it looks good. Covered all the angles.
Yeah, like I said, it's just an enforcement tool,
Right.
basically, and it keeps everybody safe. The whole point of it is the safety of everybody.
Yes. And to apply it basically unilaterally to everybody. You know
Right.
what I mean, there's no favoritism or anything like
No.
that. It's in black and white, basically, you know,
Right.
so.
I just said, so, number 5 on D5 here is. The hours, so the burning hours for the discovery during having jurisdiction, we don't have a set of hours.
It's really like, we're not trying to handcuff somebody, like, we don't wanna say you can only burn from, 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. As long as it's under control, it's not a nuisance to anybody. If somebody wants to sit in their backyard at 12 o'clock because they've been out there all night at a cookout, we're not really gonna cause any problems. It's really, we can put time limits on it, but we're trying not to. You know what I mean? We're trying to just, hopefully everybody just abides by the ordinance, and that's the end of it. We don't have to do anything else.
Now, we could, it's a good question also, because we could revisit that eventually. Let's say all of a sudden we're getting complaints of people.
Right.
Burning at 12 a.m. or 12 a.m., 1 a.m., or whatever, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., then there could be a problem, and then I guess we could. We could put restricted mode, put some hours in it. So right now it's kind of open-ended, I guess. You know, which I don't mind leaving it that way for now. Let's see how it goes, but you know, if for some reason.
I like to look at things as like, let's just give everybody a chance, and then
Yeah.
if people are not abiding by it, then we can address it
Yeah.
again, but. Putting limits on it, like, you might be a second shift worker, come home at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock,
Right.
so as long as everybody's just abiding by it and not being a nuisance, I don't feel that there's.
Right, like you said before, you go by, like I do too, as the council person, a lot of, what do I get for calls on certain things, and you said it hasn't been that crazy for this particular.
Right. You have 1 or 2 people, every summer you have 1 or 2 people, and then usually it's a couple of visits by the fire department, and then they just go away. But honestly, it's not an issue, it's really not a big issue at all.
Right. All right, I will entertain a motion for hopefully approval.
A motion, approval of the, limits.
Motion made by Council Gregory, second by Council Kadir, that we approve the ordinance and amendment of chapter 210 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pawtucket, 1996, entitled Fire Prevention Code. Outdoor burning and cooking, motion is to approve on a roll call vote. Clerk will call roll.
Kevin Moran,
Yes.
Council Clear,
Yeah.
Council Gregory,
Yes.
3-0.
No further business. Ordinance Committee is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
for the finance committee. Clerk will call the roll.
Chairman Wilkenning.
Here.
Noreen. Here. Council Rubio.
Happy.
President Murphy.
Okay. There's no public input.
Nope.
Correct?
Um, nobody online. Public.
No, yeah. They're gonna go to the two.
Yeah, collective bargaining agreement by and between the city of Pawtucket and Pawtucket Lodge number 4, fraternal order of police 2024, 2027.
Motion been made by Council Moran, second by Council Lillian to take up the collective bargaining agreement between City of Pawtucket and Pawtucket Lodge number 4, fraternal order of police for a period of 2024 to 2027. All those in favor? Aye. Director, you want to take it or?
Sure. Happy to kick it off. So the past few months, have been obviously a lot of work put in on both parties trying to come down to a contract. Before we do start, I do want to acknowledge and thank the police department. Past 2 weeks, as you guys all know, has been a really tough situation for the city. Got through a shooting, they did a tremendous job. And the blizzard that we all experienced, right? It's all partnership. They were very supportive on the city side. So I just wanted to take a moment to say that. Councilman Willigan, I know we met, we kind of went through it, but I would say, I think that very proud of where we stood. You know, there was a couple of sessions here and there, but I think the contract reflects a partnership on both ends.
How many sessions do you go through on that? I mean, not on average, on in this particular one, how many times would you have with the meet, you think? You can count that.
The last 5 years,
Too many?
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
curious, you know, I just.
This was my first one with the police department, and I want to say it was probably,
I would say it's organic, but
yeah,
we didn't spend full days, right?
yeah.
Like, we did
Couple hours.
2-3 hours, which sometimes is all I think we can take.
Right.
Not everything else.
After like hour 3, you're like, okay.
But it went on for a bit, but as always, we got through.
Yeah.
Was 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was.
so you guys would have to do your contract negotiations like we used to do back in the glass factory. We drank afterwards. So everybody was kind of pain in the ass during them, but
Yeah.
cordial afterwards, but you know. I want to thank the administration again, for the work that they've done through the blizzard and the police. We really do want to point that out, and I'll be doing that later on with DPW guys. You know, everybody's done a great job pulling together to do this. I thank God that when the blizzard started, I was in Florida, so I didn't, I got home and had to do 4 feet of snow in front of my house, but after, you know, from getting it from Florida, everybody coordinating. It's been appreciated, the work that the director's done. She actually went out from City Hall, and I understand she spent most of her time at DPW, so.
Ask me all we want, both snow, trucks, I got it.
Yeah, I say all the time, when I was a kid, I used to love snow. Now that I know how much it costs to get rid of, no, think about it as much anymore. And one of the only things that I really pointed out, I looked through the contract, I'm appreciative of the bargaining unit and what they did, and I asked the administration to make sure that we could turn around and afford this, unlike anything else. I think it's well deserved. But fiscally too, that we always have to be remain mindful of what we're doing. We really appreciate you guys getting together and doing a 5-year contract. It kind of puts us off for a year so that we don't have to worry about it, but if you listen to Frank, you guys will probably be in Monday morning starting the contract negotiation for 2027. So, but again, from our aspect, at least my aspect as finance chair, I'm glad that everybody's thoughtful about the position, knowing how much it's gonna cost and where we're gonna be. I'm also, I heard some discussion from the director that there was some emphasis on trying to retain people. A lot of you guys that I understand can retire and didn't want to see that happen. So I think some of the incentives that we put in there to stick around is appreciated. From at least the council's position, and I know from the administration's position, because between what we've gone through with COVID and everything else, everybody's poaching everybody's workers these days. So the more people that we have, when I went to work in a glass factory, you worked 25 to 30 years and nobody thought twice about it. Now you talk to people, you'd be lucky to get 10, 15 years out of it. So it really is appreciated that you guys turn around and serve the city that you work in. And I just wanted to make that real clear. Councilman Ray?
I just want to add in a couple things. Number one, I want to appreciate everything Tracy you've done, and Frank, I really appreciate too what you've been doing. because you've been through several contracts right now, like many contracts, you've been through quite a bit. And I think it shows, and I wrote this down, stability and continuity, the fact that we have like a 3 or 4 year contract. I know, remember there was a time in the past where we were just doing these 1 year things, and it just doesn't, I mean, it's great to get one, but then before you're doing retroactive, you're already halfway into that next year, you just get the 1 year, and you're already starting to negotiate, even if you just signed for 1 year, so
Right.
it shows a lot of stability, continuity. I think it reflects well for now when the fire comes in a couple of years too. Like everyone looks, I like the piggyback, I think, in a sense, even though it's different employees and different work. But I think I like the piggyback, and it's good to see. So I want to thank you for all the work you do. Really for that fire of the police, what you've done and what you've done in the past and going to be doing in the future. So I'm certainly going to be approving this. I did have one question though, was on Frank. I know we talked earlier today. We just happened to talk about it briefly about the contribution, like the 18%. If you could just explain that again, what that was about, that came about.
Well, I mean, that's something that the administration is long wanting to get into the public safety contracts, like we did with 39, 16, 10, 12. The public safety unions, they've been resistant to that, and I understand why. We've had very long, thoughtful discussions on that during the course of negotiations. The compromise was to get a percentage, in this case 18%, but to agree, at least for now, that the increase per year would not be any higher than at the outset 4%. But understand, that's how we started things with the local 10, 12, and the 396, and until it's developed big one it is now. So I think we're appreciative of that. For the first time, we have a percentage of the contract. So I think, speaking for the administration, I think we're gratified that they were willing to do that at this juncture.
Well, thank you. Again, it's a beginning and we'll
To
see.
start.
Yeah, to start. That's we have to start somewhere. So, but thank you for that as well.
President Mercer, you have any?
I'm good. I echo everything the two of you had said. Good work, Director. Mike and your colleagues, we appreciate you working hard to come up with something that's workable for both sides. So I think that's all you can ask for in negotiations. We say this to every director, we say it to the school department, they send us over contracts for ratification. This does not mean an automatic increase of X in next year's tax bill, but you can manage to this under the current circumstance, right? And generally do,
Yeah, listen,
not always the same for the other side of the island.
We'll sort it out, but I think a lot of this was accounted for, and that was also part of, the conversations when we were in the sessions. That's where the decision making came, is keeping in mind where we stood with the budget, and we felt comfortable with this one.
And I'm gonna give just a quick shout out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that.
Nick came into this, we had already put a couple of sessions under our belt. But it was nice to have his perspective, very level headed in terms of helping us keep focused on many of the provisions that we worked on. So I just wanted to.
He took a flight to be president today, so I just wanted to say thank you to him and actually everyone that was a part of the administration's negotiations team.
I thank you for that too, Director. It's appreciated. Again, I being a part of many negotiations, I know you always start out up here and you always try to end up in the middle, and it shows the two collaboration, when two sides can meet and agree and then turn around and try to work collaboratively on getting it done. And it's again, from our perspective, it's appreciated, and I just wanted to echo. All right, number 3.
All right, no one's repealing or replacing the schedule with pay rate. Amendments.
Do I have to? I just thought it was.
I thought it was
Good
good.
discussion. Yeah. All right. Once the PBA. I never do this right. Just come out. Let's go. Make a motion.
Just kind of skip numbers.
Make a motion, Dave.
All right. Make a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement binding between the city of Pawtucket and Pawtucket Lodge Number 4. Fraternal Order of Police 2024-2027. Motion to approve the roll call vote.
Council Moran made a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement from 2024 to 2027 for the fraternal order of police. Seconded by Council Wildenhain, and approval on the roll call vote.
Council Wildenhain.
Absolutely.
Council Moran.
Yes.
President Mercer.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Number 3, an ordinance repealing and replacing the schedule of pay rates for uniform members of the police department in section 8812 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pawtucket, 1996, from July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2027. My motion is to approve on a roll call vote.
Motion has been made by Council Moran and seconded by Council Mercer that the ordinance repealing or replacement of the schedule of pay rates and uniform members of the Pawtucket Police, Police Department, section 88-12 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pawtucket, 1999, July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027. Be approved on a roll call vote. I'm gonna get the hang of the one that I'm taking direction from you, be all set. Yeah,
Discussion?
yeah, no discussion. But just give all the flowers and stuff just beforehand. We don't need discussion.
I was gonna say, go ahead, it's different from clerk call the vote.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes. 3-0.
You guys gonna miss me when I'm gone.
Is there a song? There's a song, isn't there?
Prove it. Next week. Well, that's all for the fire department. Thank you very much for your attendance.
The Pawtucket City Council meeting is going to be starting relatively shortly. If you're currently waiting online through Zoom, can you please press the raise hand button at this time if you want to speak in public input?
Welcome to our Freight Street Chambers for tonight's Pawtucket City Council meeting. First on our agenda is public input. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folks in person signed up for public input. Is there anybody online? Nobody online. And the first order of business before we get to the folks who are here in person is to acknowledge 2 bits of public input we received emailed this afternoon. The first is from a woman named Lisa Kellogg, and the second is from an individual named Derek Doobie. So they have been received, they've been filed, and they've been given to the members of the council. Thank you for your input. That brings us to Richard Stang, is that correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Stang, if you come up from Promenade Street in Providence?
Yes.
All right.
Hi, my
Thank
name
you,
is
sir.
Richard Stang. I'm an attorney with Conservation Law Foundation in Rhode Island. And we've
Is
been,
that button on? Is the green light on?
the green light is on.
Okay.
Let me turn it up to my face. Can you hear
There
me
you go.
better now?
Yes, thank you.
So CLF has been very active with respect to the Morley Field situation for a number of years. And one thing I just want to bring to everyone's attention tonight, one of the items for discussion is Councilman Gregor's letter to the mayor, which is item number or letter N on the agenda tonight. In that he notes specifically that the application for conversion was never brought in front of the city council for the city council to actually vote on it, as required by a previous vote of the city council board back in October of 2022. And I was just going through our notes that I have over 6 pieces of correspondence that CLF has sent out over the last couple of years to City of Pawtucket, DEM, National Park Service, raising every issue that and there's a lot, about why the conversion doesn't meet the statutory requirements, the federal statutory requirements, and should not go through. Including back in May of 2023, we specifically noted that the conversion application was not approved by the council. We raised the exact same point that Clovis is now raising now. And I hate to say it, but we didn't get one response back from the city, not one response back from DEM, not even one response back from the National Park Service. So think about that. Over 2 years, more than that, we've been writing and drafting very, very descriptive letters, going through all the legal aspects of what needs to be satisfied to do the conversion, pointing out over and over and over again where things have failed. I don't know if anyone's even told the council any of this. I mean, we sent it to the mayor's office, but I don't know if the mayor's office has ever passed it along to you people. But if it's clear that you're supposed to get council approval of the application before it's submitted to DEM, then really there was no authority for DEM to take that and submit it to NPS like they did recently, saying it's all set for conversion. I'd ask the council to, you know, take a vote tonight to say, hey, DEM, tell NPS that we're have to deal with this issue before you can give your approval to the National Park Service, because this procedure was never formally taken by the council. So again, happy to share more of this with you. It all went to the mayor's office. He has all these documents. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now or any point else during the evening.
So this is just public input. We don't have a back and forth dialogue, but if you have that information, you'd like to leave it with the clerk, or if you'd like to file it in the next few days by email to the clerk, that's to supplement your comments tonight. That's perfectly acceptable.
All right.
Thank you. Next is Adam Greenman from Vine Street. Mr. Greenman, how are you?
Make sure I get to the mic to say I'm doing great, and hope you all are as well. And thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. I appreciate you taking public comment on this issue, even as I know I've spoken with some of you. The focus is now with Department of Environmental Management and with the National Park Service, but I think it's important as a city government that we continue to make sure we're doing right by neighbors and by our constituents. And so just want to share my thoughts on this issue. And we just heard from the Conservation Law Foundation. So there are others that are going to make the legal arguments. I know that Councilman Gregor is going to talk about this later on tonight to talk about what this means to community members in that neighborhood. And tonight, I really want to focus my comments related to Morley Field on the moral pieces, because I think that even as this has been discussed and debated again and again over the last few years, I think we can't lose sight of the importance of the moral piece of this, what we're doing if we decide to pave over green space in the Woodlawn neighborhood. And I think really, this whole mess represents what's been missing in this city, a comprehensive vision for who we are and what we want to be. So I know I've heard the arguments about the city swapping land, that moving Morley Field and swapping it for land in Oak Hill is the trade-off. But Woodlawn and Oak Hill are two very different neighborhoods. And to expect kids and families to travel out of their neighborhood to another just to find some green space, to me, is unconscionable. To take away the only major green space in a neighborhood that needs it most is immoral, and to do it to construct a parking lot, to me, feels unjust. And I think what this represents is a lack of listening, a lack of planning, and a lack of vision on behalf of the administration. We could all argue all day about whether a last mile distribution center is the right thing for Main Street. I know I've had that conversation with some of you, and I know that we may agree to disagree on that piece of it. But closing Morley Field is simply another example of the lack of vision that this administration has for our city. removing green space just harms neighborhoods. That's a fact. But it falls in line with the mayor's previous comments about Pawtucket being a bedroom community. That decisions now, it seems like, are being made not for the people who are here today, but for other people that will be here tomorrow. But I think this council has an opportunity. I think a council's job is always to continue to listen to the people and to listen to, the arguments around this stuff. Even as this issue rests with other folks, I think this body has a really important voice and an opportunity to stand with the people of Pawtucket, to stand with a vision that doesn't give away everything simply because someone wants to build something in our city. To stand with a vision for the people who are here, because as you all know, and I know I've talked to you about it.
You've reached your destination.
Yeah, there we go. We have incredible people in this city. They're ready to build Pawtucket with us. And I would just invite you to stand with those folks who have tremendous pride in this city, who understand that we can do great things without paving over green space, without harming our neighbors, without having, we owe it to them to build a viable plan for providing green spaces to all of the people in Pawtucket. Your voice as city councilors has power, and you have the opportunity to demonstrate the pride that I know you all have, because I've spoken with all you individually about that same pride in who Pawtucket is and what we stand for. So I know that we're still, we're probably past the 50-yard line on the Morley Field piece, but we're not at the goal line yet. And would just urge all of you to really think about what's best for the people of Woodlawn, what's best for the people of Pawtucket, what's best for a comprehensive vision for the city that makes sure that the people of Woodlawn have the kind of green space that they deserve, the kind of green space that they need, and the kind of Pawtucket that we all want to have. So I appreciate you giving me the time to speak to you tonight. I appreciate you continuing to talk about this issue, and just thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Greenman. We have 3 more individuals signed up. The next one is Mr. Cameron Segala from Robinson Avenue. Mr. Segala, how are you?
I'm doing right. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
So I don't have anything written, so I'm just gonna go for it. I did want to start off on a positive note. I wanted to thank Council President Mercer for the solution you came up with for Slater, the funding solution. I know it still has to get through the state and everything, but I came to the podium before and talked about it. I've emailed, and you're the only one really that's moved the ball on that. So I appreciate it. I'm sure others were involved as well, but I do appreciate that. And as for Morley Field, Adam Greenman pretty much summed it up well. So I'll touch on a couple of other things. You've heard all the speeches, you've heard all the facts, all the legal analysis. That I don't think you guys are thinking about the impact on the people of Woodlawn. And I want to bring up one of your former council members that have sadly passed away, Councilwoman Ama Mpanza. I didn't get to meet her, but I was not fortunate enough to meet her, but you all did, and you all got to work with her. And I think you all know this was one of her issues that she really advocated for. She wanted Morley Field to stay where it is, first of all, but she also wanted it to be renovated, expanded to help her neighborhood. And after she passed, Councilman Gregor took her place on the council, and he made a promise that he would protect Morley Field and he would fight for Morley Field, and he's kept that promise. And I want to personally thank him publicly, and thanked them before, but Woodlawn has a fighter in his district. I'd ask you all to think about that impact. Think about taking the little green space that Woodlawn has away and giving it to Oak Hill, which already has plenty of it. You're taking away from an economically disadvantaged district, and you're giving to an economically advantaged district. And the city's solution to that is to take away 3.6 acres and give a 1 acre dog park up the road. And the other, I believe, 9 acres of space between the cemetery and Max Reed Field. I mean, it should bother you guys. It should bother you guys that that's the solution. And like Adam said, you do have power. You know, you are an equal branch of government in this city. And Clovis laid out perfectly in his letter that you didn't get the information you requested in January. Elizabeth Moreira gave you a short letter, a page that really just ignored your request to begin with, didn't give you the documents requested. And, you know, that should prompt you guys to demand that information because you requested it. And if you're requesting information from the administration, they should give it to you. And if they don't, you should say something about it. Other than that, I hope you guys all have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scala. Representative Sherry Cruz. How are you, Rep?
Good. How you doing, Chairman? How you
Good,
doing,
thank you.
council members? Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I won't repeat, but I am concerned about the statutory and legal requirements that may have not happened here and that those legal ramifications for the city. I'm very concerned about that. I'm also concerned that the voices of the people in the community who shared for over the last 2 years about wanting to keep Morley Field has not made it to you all here, and that you do actually hear those voices. Also, growing up in Woodlawn, Oak, it wasn't just a mile away, it was a world away. It was a totally different community. I know growing up there in Woodlawn, it was a place we didn't venture off to as kids. We were insulated in our community and we relied on having those spaces to be able to play. Right, just like Morley Field. And for a short time, I lived on Vale Street, right on the corner, and our kids were growing up together. And we would walk over there and clean up. We cared about that field. We wanted that space for that field. So I want to thank Cameron for bringing up because I remember those times and how our kids grew up. Because I lived all over Woodlawn from McGill to Vale and Middle Spring, all over that area. And Morley Field was our field. It's where we played. So I just wanted to reiterate how important that field is, how important all of your voices are in this, and to make sure that we do meet the statutory requirements and that you do have the power to actually save that field for the kids in that community, which means so much. So with that, hope you have a good night and thank you again.
Thank you, Rep. The last person signed up, and again, there's nobody online, correct? The last person signed up is, looks like Ben Evans from Pat Street. Is Ben here? Anybody else from Pat Street? Did I get it wrong? Okay, he must have had to go. Oh, Evers, maybe. Ben Evers. Okay. All right, then that will conclude public input for tonight. And we are on to the Board of License Commissioners meeting. So Board of License Commissioners meeting will come to order. Clerk will call the roll. Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Here.
Mr. President, I call for approval of the previous minutes from February 11th, 2026.
Moved by Councilor Russo, second by Councilor Wildenhain, that approval be given to the minutes of the February 11th, 2026 meeting as prepared by the clerk. Are there any concerns, amendments, deletions, additions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I call for approval of item number 2, the consent agenda, which starts with door-to-door peddler renewal of Powerhouse Home Remodeling Group. down to public laundry, open 24 hours, new laundry marks, at 1455 Newport Avenue.
It's been moved by Councilor Arujo, second by Councilor Moreno, that approval be given to item 2, the consent agenda, starting with door-to-door peddler renewal, Power Home Remodeling Group, and also a public laundry 24 hours new laundromax at 1455 Newport Avenue. The motion is for approval of item 2. Are you good with that, or do you have anything on?
Yeah, I wanted to pull the laundromax off briefly, just to have a couple questions. I think there's a representative here and that'd be pretty quick.
Okay, so all in favor then of item 2 for the door-to-door peddler renewal? Everybody in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The public laundry open 24 hours new license. It would be LAU-26-1. Councilor Moran, what's your pleasure?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think someone is here representing the laundromax. Do you want to have him, does he give you his name or not on something like that? No. Doesn't have to.
Well,
all right.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the,
get
he's
one
the
to find
applicant
out.
for the license. Yes, just so we
Yeah.
know who we're talking to.
My name is Mark Sobelman.
And you're the owner of the applicant,
District manager.
district manager. Okay. Councilor Moran.
Yeah, Mark, so do you oversee the other, is it 2 or 3 that are in the city, or is that somebody else?
Yes. Yep. I've overseen those.
Okay, so pretty much the same setup, same type look of the building and everything, or anything different for the
A
Newport
little
Avenue?
nicer. We just opened up Central Ave a year ago.
Yes.
Pretty much the same.
Same thing?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Uh,
And I'm just concerned, the only concern I have, and I mentioned it earlier today with the attorney Ralph, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think he's out of New York, was just the lighting, just want to make sure I know there's a house behind there, behind where the bank was. Just want to make sure whatever the lighting is, there's no lighting directed towards the back or
It
however.
won't be
that works.
directed there. It'll be directed towards the building. And there's
Okay.
pretty high trees
Okay.
along that line. And
Okay.
we didn't touch that line at all.
All right. And the other thing was the exit and entranceway. I know if you're standing there facing on Newport Avenue, the side street on the left, that's a one-way just heading out into Newport Avenue. I wasn't sure.
Correct.
Are you looking at just how many exits or entrances from the outside that
So
area?
there are 3 exits and entrances out of the parking lot. We didn't change. The only piece of the footprint we changed was we demolished the drive-through,
Okay,
added a couple more parking spaces over there. So that entrance is still there. The one on
Okay.
Newport Ave
Yep.
and the one on the one-way street is still there.
okay. And do you know how many parking spaces you need over there at all?
I believe it's 43 and there's 5 to 6 handicap spaces that we
Okay.
put in.
And when are you looking to open? They were saying maybe mid-April or something, or?
Yeah, we're putting in machinery now, so that's probably a good guess.
Okay, all right. I don't have any other questions. I just.
Just, are there 4 curb cuts? Or did you close up the curb cut where the exit from the drive-through was?
I believe that one went out. I think there's 3 when I looked at the satellite photo, but
I used to do most of my banking there. I think you can pull in,
Do-
pull in.
you
in
cut
the
when you come
front,
around.
and you
so-
can pull out to the right across to the one-way street facing
And then
Monroe,
then another
Butler.
way.
You can pull out to the left
Yep.
behind,
That's like Washburn, Cushman, whatever
Yep.
that is.
and then there's also, if you would go onto the drive-through, you can pull out. So I guess my question is, will the wider entrance on Newport Avenue, would that be entrance only and you go around the building and exit, or will that also be an exit? Not that it matters. I'm just kind of trying to get the lay of the land.
Off the top of my head, I would think it would be entrance exit unless you would prefer it to be, just an entrance. I mean, it could
Oh,
go either way.
I don't, it wasn't a problem with
Okay.
with
With the bank, right?
the bank, right?
right,
It's your
yeah.
district, but I just figured
Yeah.
I'd clarify that
Yeah,
there is a 4th curb cut, for lack of a better description, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't, I mean, I don't think it matters either way, but no, that's a
Yeah.
good point, because you're right, there were 4. I kept thinking there were 3, but there were 4, but I don't think it matters. I don't think it'll matter.
yeah, we didn't
Just-
change that. We didn't change any of that.
Right,
Uh,
whatever's there now is
Whatever's
pretty
there,
much
right.
staying.
The building stayed right where it is. Yep. We didn't
Okay.
expand or anything. Actually, we just took, like I said, we took that drive-through away and
Right.
that's now going to be an entrance into the building.
Right. Are you just, those laundromaxes, are they just in Rhode Island, or are you in other states too?
9 states.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like a growing thing or something? It seems like.
Yeah, we've been around almost 30 years now. We've
Okay.
been in this area 15 years, maybe
Okay.
12 to 15 years. We came here. We're based out of New York City.
Okay.
So
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You gonna make the motion?
I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Moran, second by Counselor Rouge, that approve be given to the laundromat open 24 hours new Laundromax 1455 Newport Avenue LLC. 1455 Newport Avenue, license number LAU-26-1. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, no further business coming before the Pawtucket Board of License Commissioners. I motion that we adjourn and reconvene as the Pawtucket City Council.
Been moved by Counselor Russo, second by Counselor Wildenhain, that we adjourn as the Pawtucket Board of License Commissioners and we convene as the Pawtucket City Council. Before we do, I ask that everybody stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, started by Counselor Moreno. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pawtucket City Council will come to order. Clerk will call the roll. Here.
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 Here. Mr. President, I call for approval of the previous minutes of February 11th, 2026 of the Public Works Committee, the City Property Committee, Committee on Claims and Pending Suits, the Finance Committee, and the City Council.
Been moved by Counselor Rouge, second by Counselor Codier, that approval be given to the minutes of the February 11th, 2026 meetings of the Public Works Committee, the City Property Committee, the Committee on Claims and Pending Suits, Finance Committee, and the City Council. Are there any concerns, amendments, deletions, additions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I call for approval of item number 2, which is the consent agenda and correspondence.
Moved by Counselor Rouge, second by Counselor Moreno, approval be given to item 2, the consent agenda and correspondence. Are there any matters the council would like to address separately? Counselor Gregor. You said M and N, correct? Okay. Anybody else? In that case, with the exception of M and N, approval, and all those in favor of the consent agenda being passed, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, the motion carries with the exception of M and N. Council, you can take those together if you like, or
So item M is a communication from Elizabeth Morero, Deputy Director of Administration, to the honorable members of the Pawtucket City Council, response regarding requests for certain documents and information that was previously sent to the administration regards to Morley Field. It was postponed, so it could be heard today. So, and N is my communication to the mayor in regards to the response we received from the administration. Now, I don't know if all of you have had a chance to look at the letter that I had submitted dated February 19th or not. However, and I first want to thank everyone who came down either in person or sent out emails regarding Morley Field. This has been a long 4-year plus process. But I'm just going to focus, and you've heard a lot of the testimony before regarding the viability of the conversion and so forth, and the morality of the entire process. However, I'm just going to try to keep it as simple as I can. So just going to go a little timeline here. So I see this as a separation of powers issue. So the mayor, which is the executive branch, has no authority or jurisdiction, according to our charter, to do anything pertaining to the sale, lease, purchase, or disposition of publicly owned property. That is an authority and a right vested entirely to the city council. Now, first in June of 2022, we were first approached by the administration to Solicitor Milos, as well as Jay Rosa, who was then the Director of Planning for the city. And in the letters, that was when we were first approached regarding the proposition that Morley Field may be converted. Now, on the first resolution, we voted without a lot of information regarding the entirety of Morley Field. That would be Lot 309 and Lot 291. However, subsequently thereto, it was discovered that Lot 291 was gifted, it could not be sold. And this is statutorily protected under 4526. The administration came to concede to that effect, and Lot 291 is currently not being proposed for conversion. However, Morley Field was made up of two lots. You can't separate the two lots regardless of what is being proposed. Both the gifted lot and the lot that was purchased with National Park Land Water Conservation Funds were meant to be put together to create one park, which the District of Woodlawn, the children of Woodlawn, did not have. The impetus for the application originally for Morley Field and the environmental assessment that was done remain as true today as it did over 50 years ago when it was first introduced. And that is that the Woodlawn community has had no public recreational space for the children and no green space, hence why the application was first submitted. That has not changed. Now, subsequently thereto, the council was presented with yet another resolution, and this time it was just for Lot 309, since they had conceded that they couldn't sell Lot 291. And I mean, I think it's important to just mention that the fact that the gifted Lot 291 could not be sold was never presented to the council, information that was held from us, which would possibly have resolved the entire thing. Not only that, but that we would have to change the city's comprehensive plan, that we would have to have taxpayers subsidize curb cutting over at Main Street for the development. The city is also going to have to be paying for extending a 20-year tax stabilization agreement to this developer, and also that the sewer easement that was provided by JK Equities would be subsidized by the city taxpayers as well. But I'll come back to the resolution now. So this is October 20th, 2022. So I have a letter here from then the city's planning director, Bianca Palacastro, dated October 19, 2022, in which the city yet again sent a letter to the council requesting an amendment to the purchase and sales, and that we should still consider conversion of just Lot 309. Now, crucial to my letter, which I'm presenting here, and the argument I'm trying to make here to the council, is that the last paragraph of this letter, dated October 19, 2022, then Bianca Palacastro, Director of Planning, specifically says and confirms what I've been suggesting here in my letter, is that, and I'll just read the last sentence on the last paragraph. This plan must identify the bounds of a viable replacement location, the schematic design of the recreation amenities, propose a certified appraisal of the property, an environmental impact review of the proposed relocation, and opportunity for public comment. But this is the crucial part here, is that city council approval of this plan would also be required before formal submission to Rhode Island RIDEM and the NPS. Now, notwithstanding our resolution, which specifically on paragraph 4 states that no conversion plan would be submitted to either RIDEM or the NPS for consideration until such time as the council had an opportunity to review the entire conversion plan, all amendments, all submissions, so we can properly have an opportunity to review, debate, and then vote and either approve or disapprove as to whether or not this conversion plan for Morley Field should move forward. That, as you all well know, never happened. this administration, notwithstanding our charter, vesting specific authority solely to the council in terms of any public owned real estate or property, whether it's being leased, sold, or transferred or purchased, rests entirely with the council, decided that they're just gonna thumb their nose at the council, ignore our charter, subvert the process that was specifically outlined in the resolution from 10/20/2022, specifically requiring that no conversion were to be sent till such time as this council had an opportunity to debate, review, and either approve or disapprove. So, separation of power between the executive branch and the legislative branch, which is this council here, matters. Processes we talked about a few weeks back on another matter in which the mayor was looking to have an approval that was done for a charter school not be approved because the process was messed, and the law and the rule of law suggested that the various municipal cities didn't get a chance to either be presented with anything or had a chance to approve that charter. So process was emphasized. Rule of law was emphasized. And this council, and I supported the mayor in the very aspect, was that process matters. When we have an executive branch who decides that they're going to subvert the council resolution, they're going to ignore our charter and assume for itself power and authority that it doesn't have. I mean, clearly it does not have, as you all know here. For the council to just sit back here and do absolutely nothing is to be complicit and encouraging the unlawful extension of authority that the executive branch does not possess. It's not a hard thing to do. It's very simple. The mayor signed that resolution agreeing to what it said, and it was very clear. Now, they had previously sent a conversion plan, again, all incognito, with no public comment, no review from the council at all. To this date, this council has never seen any part of any conversion application to date. We have not reviewed, we have not voted, we have not approved, and yet it should be appalling to every person in here, to every councilor here, that somewhere out there is a package, a substantive package seeking to convert public land without this council ever seeing it, ever reviewing, and ever approving it. That is appalling. That is obscene. And it's not like this is a little thing, right? This isn't some little plan. The conversion process is extensive. It requires all sorts of review, environmental impact, review of the proposed replacement site, among various other things. We haven't seen it. We don't know what it looks like. You haven't reviewed it. You haven't debated it. The public hasn't had a chance to fully do that as well. Now, they originally sent an application, again, incognito, in 2023. People just happened to find out about it and commented entirely 99% against it, as immoral, as reprehensive, and not for the benefit of either the community or the city of Pawtucket, both for in terms of the replacement proposed site or what they're looking to do, which is inherently morally deficient, to take the only green space in a mostly minority community and turn it into a parking. But before doing that, burying it with tons of toxins and toxic debris right over by the Moshassuck River. But I sent a letter to DEM on April 12, I believe, of 2020, let's say 24. I don't have the letter here with me, unfortunately, but the mayor was CC'd there, so was Bianca Palacastro, the mayor's planning director, wherein I raised exactly this very same issue. Although it wasn't directed at the mayor, he was CC on that thing. And on that, I expanded even further because for those of you who haven't seen this application, I haven't seen the latest updated versions of whatever they've submitted. But I can tell you, it proposes to not only convert Morley Field, which they had partial authority from this council, but specifically required on us looking at it, reviewing and approving it beforehand. But it also proposes to take away two other publicly owned city property, Donald Park and part of the McCoy Stadium Annex. The mayor, again, the executive branch does not have the statutory authority, either by charter, resolution, or any other forms to do what it did. So it's not only looking to convert Morleyfield without authorization from this council, but this council has not even been considered regarding conversion of those other two pieces. There is no independent resolution regarding those proposed conversions. And yet they were all lumped together and submitted without this council ever looking at it, reviewing it, approving it, or disapproving it. It would be very simple. If the executive branch and the mayor believes that the conversion proposal, both the proposed replacement and the conversion of Morley Field and the other park that they're trying to take, is actually viable. It makes sense. Why didn't they bring it to this council for our review per our charter, per a specific resolution requiring that? That's a question you'd have to ask yourself, because if you sit here and do absolutely nothing, what's going to happen the next time the mayor and this executive man decides they want to exert what I would call Trumpian-like governing authority, essentially taking power you don't have, asserting it because the legislative branch is going to sit back and do nothing, essentially approving your illegal activity. Because this is not just about Morley Field. I'll say that. It doesn't matter which side you are regarding the conversion of Morley Field, whether you're for or against it. It's the principle of the matter. It's the separation of power that matters here. It's a legal process that's absolutely mandated per our charter that this executive branch has chosen to do a Trumpian move on. Completely ignore our charter, which is essentially our mini constitution, completely ignore the rule of law, which is the council's resolution specifically requiring that. And here we are, sitting here. So at the end of my letter, I do propose that if this council is truly an independent but equal governing branch of this city, then the application submitted by the executive branch needs to be rescinded and suspended, brought back to the council so we can properly do our due diligence, do what we're required to do by the people who voted us in office. It's an obligation, it's our responsibility on all sorts of levels. And this is not just, again, not about Morley Field. It's about the whole subversion of authority. We're non-existent. So, if anybody has any questions, I'd like to hear it.
My mic was on. Anybody have any questions? Okay, there are no questions, Counselor.
Okay, just so I'm clear then, that means that this council considers itself essentially an extension of the administration, that you're going to sit here and let your authority, our resolution, our charter be ignored. This is what the voters put us in for, right? This council is of little utility to the people as a body, if this is how it's going to treat our charter. If this is how it's going to treat Trumpian-like governing powers being exercised by the executive branch in the city and the mayor without authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Item 3, I think I assigned item 3 to you, Counsel, but I had the wrong district. Dave, would you take item 3, please? Calder's in your district, yes?
Communication from His Honor Mayor Donald R. Grebian to the honorable members of the Pawtucket City Council submitting the following Reappointment as a Democratic member of the Board of Canvassers for confirmation, Maria Paveo, 63 Calder Street in Pawtucket. Term expires the first Monday in March of 2032. My motion is to approve on a roll call vote.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Moran, second by both Counselor Arujo and Counselor Codier, that a communication from his Mayor Donald R. Grebian to the honorable members of the Pawtucket City Council submitting the following reappointment as a Democratic member of the Board of Canvassers for confirmation. The motion is for a roll call, confirmation on a roll call vote of Maria Paivo, 63 Calder Street, for a term that expires the first Monday in March of 2032. Any discussion on the motion for confirmation? Clerk will call a roll.
President Murphy,
Yes.
Council Ruzo,
Yes.
Council Codere,
Yes.
Council Gregor,
Yes.
Council Moran,
Yes.
Council Moreno. Council Williams,
Yes.
7-0.
President Mercer, before I take number 4, I'd like to make a brief statement, but do I have to amend the agenda for it? About the performance of the administration and the DPW and just, or you want me to reserve those comments till the end of the meeting?
Sure, go ahead.
I don't wanna have to amend it.
Council Wildenhain, second by Councilor Arujo, that we amend the agenda. All in favor of amending the agenda?
Aye.
And now, all in favor of amending the agenda for the purpose of personal
statement.
a statement regarding DPW efforts during the
Correct.
snowstorm, is everything okay?
Correct. Have to vote on that too, or I can make my statement.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I want to turn around and personally thank the administration and the fire and police and everybody that pitched in through historic blizzard. And mainly the guys down at DPW that really worked the hours and put the time in and still are doing it to even today. You know, you're always going to run across people that aren't going to be satisfied with certain aspects of how we do things around here. But you know what? As long as we're all pitching in and they had a monumentous task, still have it in front of them, and they're still doing it to this day. And I really want to put out the thanks, at least from my perspective, for the people in my district that I represent, because it matters. It matters when you have those type of individuals turn around and put out an effort and commit to their jobs, commit to their community, and it's beneficial. And I just wanted to thank them all for that.
I think we all concur. It was a monumental, never thought I would see something that surpassed the blizzard of 78, but it did it by about 6 or 7 inches. And as with the 78, the snow drifts in some streets were 5 feet high. That's why you saw some streets were cleared, or at least a few passes, and then the next 2 streets might not have been touched. That's because we had to wait, or they had to wait. I don't claim any involvement in it. They had to wait until the bigger plows were able to get there. Otherwise, they risked having a smaller plow stuck, and now you're taking 2 or 3 other pieces of equipment over there. So I think everybody concurs in each corner of the district with your assessment. It was a valiant effort. It was, for some people, 72 hours nonstop, with a bite to eat here and 15 minutes of sleep.
We should also include the governor and the National Guard in that, because they come in and they pitched in, and their efforts are very much appreciated.
And the states of Connecticut and the state of Connecticut and the state of Vermont, they sent heavy equipment. It might not have necessarily hit the Pawtucket streets, but it freed up a state piece of equipment to come to Pawtucket. So I think we all concur with your
Thank you.
sentiments.
Mr. President, may I just make a comment on that? Thank you, Councilor Wilden, for saying that. Just 2 things of note. This was the biggest storm in recorded history TF Green has reported since the 1950. And I do remember in the blizzard of 78, that was about 2.5 day storm. They actually had to get snowplows from Buffalo, New York, if I remember as a kid. Paid attention to that. That was impressive that you had these big plows that came in. But everybody's effort, I mean, this was, we speak about the blizzard of 78 all the time.
we will be speaking about the blizzard of 26 for years to come. So I appreciate all that. I couldn't say it any better, Councilor Wildenhain, so thank you. But on that note, Clerk, I will be requesting not for the 11th because it's kind of a short duration, but maybe for the second meeting of March to have a snow removal committee meeting where I just want to see where we stand with the budget, which I'm quite sure is probably tough. And also, if there's what's the challenges that are going to incur for the potholes that we will be discovering as this cleanup is completed. Thank you.
If I could, just want to add in, I measure a lot of this by how many calls I get, but I know when we had a storm, President was about, I don't know, was that 10 or 12 years ago, there was a storm, I remember some of the streets.
I was about 6 weeks into.
Yeah, and we
being
met
on
at the
council.
safety complex and stuff. I remember that. I mean, I got more calls from that, and that storm was way less than this one. And I'll tell you, for this storm, for the magnitude of the storm and how much snow we got, I mean, I only got a handful of calls. I think it was on Tuesday only, and they were all taken care of pretty quickly. So I measure a lot by that. So I think they did a great job because, again, I didn't get that many calls. I got more calls from 10 or 12 years ago. So great work by everybody, Public Works and everybody involved, the mayor's office and certainly the police department and everybody involved. Thank you for everything you did.
Counselor?
Yeah, I only had 3 phone calls, and like about 2 hours later, they called me back and said, "Thank you, Nisi. They already cleaned my street." But they called, but they understood that it was a massive blizzard. And on behalf of my constituents and myself, I also would like to thank the DPW and the mayor for the great work they did in this blizzard.
I think the residents themselves deserve quite a bit of thanks too, because they were understanding. Even a handful.
Yeah.
I got far fewer than I did in 2013, but even when they called, they said, "I get it, I know, but," and at least once they explained to me from DPW why some streets weren't touched for a day and a half, and I explained it to them, it was a little bit of a light bulb moment. So everybody pitched in, everybody was understanding, everybody, from start to finish. The police department was out there making sure we knew what was coming, right? We made sure that they towed and enforced the parking ban, and that was beneficial to everybody, to the plow drivers, the fire department that still had to respond to, exorbitant snowfall to certain medical emergencies and all the rest. So I think everybody pitched together, and it's a testament to Pawtucket, it's a testament to Rhode Island that we survived it much better than 38 years ago, whatever it was, in 78. So now, Counselor.
Thank you. Number 4, the Finance Committee returns the following: ratification of the collective bargaining agreement by and between the City of Pawtucket and Pawtucket Lodge Number 4, Fraternal Order of Police, 2024 to 2027. I call for approval on a roll call vote.
Second.
So moved by Counselor Wildenhain, second by Counselor Moran. The Property Committee submits the following resolution with a recommendation for, I'm sorry, it's number 4. The Finance Committee returns the following: ratification of the collective bargaining agreement by and between the City of Pawtucket and Pawtucket Lodge Number 4 of the Fraternal Order of Police for calendar years 2024 through 2027. The motion is for approval upon recommendation from the Finance Committee. Is there any discussion? Counselor Wildenhain.
And this one too, I'd like to thank the Director of Administration, Tracy Duran, and Solicitor Milos for all the work that they put in, as well as Nick, our Finance Director that used to be here, was instrumental, according to Councilor Milos, in resolving it. But again, I also want to thank the men and women of the police force for turning around and sitting down and negotiating a contract that works for them and it also works for us. It's a 5-year contract. So it gives us a year between having to negotiate again for a contract. And it's much appreciated from the committee's standpoint.
Thank you, Counselor. Anybody else? I'll again just echo that the 5 years, it's retro, but it keeps us from having to go back to the bargaining table. So the two parties anyway to go back to the bargaining table for quite a bit of time. And like any negotiations, it's a give and take. We appreciate the efforts on both sides. Nobody's ever fully pleased with a contract negotiation. That's sometimes says all you need to know. So, President Choi and your colleagues, thank you, and thank you for the service that you provide us. In that case, the clerk will call the roll.
President Mercer,
Yes.
Council Ruzo,
Yes.
Council Codere,
Yes.
Council Gregor. Yes. Council Moran.
Yes.
Council Moreno. Council Wildenhain.
Yes.
7-0.
Item number 5, the City Property Committee submits the following resolution with a recommendation for approval. A resolution authorizing the City of Pawtucket to enter into an easement agreement with Demeter LLC to maintain a ramp on the city sidewalk along Broad Street for the property located at 3 Exchange Street. Motion is to approve on a roll call vote.
Been moved by Council Ruzo, second by Council Moreno, that the resolution authorizing the City of Pawtucket to enter into an easement agreement with Demeter LLC to maintain a ramp on the city's sidewalk along Broad Street for the property located at 3 Exchange Street. Comes with a recommendation for approval from the Property Committee on a roll call vote. Is there any discussion about this matter?
Yeah, I'll just explain it real quick. It's a public building. We have to have ADA compliancy, and it's gonna take part of the sidewalk, but that sidewalk's about 10 feet wide. It'll take up about 5 feet, so that'll allow 5 feet for access for ADA compliancy, which I believe is about 3 feet or so. So we're in good shape there. It allows them to be compliant, and it allows egress for folks with disabilities to get by.
Any questions for the Property Committee? In that case, the clerk will call the roll.
President Mercer.
Yes.
Council Ruzo.
Yes.
Yes.
Council Gregor. Council Moran.
Yes.
Council Moreno. Council Wildenhain.
Yes.
7-0.
Item number 6 is a resolution of the Pawtucket City Council in support of Rhode Island Survivor Early Lease Termination Act. I move for approval on a roll of
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Moreno, second by Councilor Ruzo, that approval be given to a resolution of the Pawtucket City Council in support of Rhode Island Survivor Early Lease Termination Act. For any discussion on the resolution? I'll just say that came to us from Councilor Rubio. She was very interested in pursuing this and supporting some legislation supported by proposed by Representative Alzate. So that's where this came from, and I'm in support of it. Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
President Mercer.
Yes.
Council Ruzo.
Yes.
Council Codere.
Yes.
Council Gregor. Yes. Council Moran.
Yes.
Council Moreno. Council Wildenhain.
Yes.
7-0.
Item number 7 is a resolution recognizing March as Women's History Month. I move for approval on a roll call vote.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Codere, second by the entire City Council, that a resolution recognizing March as Women's History Month be approved on a roll call vote. Is there any discussion? Councilor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to say that, first of all, I am not only proud of being a woman, but also being the first Dominican woman in the council in the city of Pawtucket, and the first Dominican. I also feel very grateful for all those women that advocate for women. Not only I remember people talking about reading in the books, talking about when women couldn't go to school, that women couldn't go to college, or women couldn't work, and now we go to school. We have same profession as men. There is women that are lawyers, doctor, politicians, and I am very grateful that we can also not only, excuse me, do the housework, but also do what men can do and contribute to the house the same way that men can do and work together. I will never say that women, that we are the same, but I like when women can also contribute to the house and help our husbands and help our partners. Um, and this is a great month. I think I'm gonna be wearing purple the whole month of March.
Is that the color? Well,
Yeah.
I think we all agree, and we're better for having our three female colleagues. Two of them aren't here tonight, but we do appreciate all of the efforts that three of you put forth as well. So, in that case, on the resolution, the clerk will call the roll.
President Mercer,
Yes.
Council Ruzo,
Yes.
Council Codere,
Yes.
Council Gregor. Yes. Council Moran.
Yes.
Council Moreno. Council Scoviat. I'm sorry, Council Wilderness.
Yes.
7-0.
Number 8's an ordinance repealing and replacing the schedule of pay rates for local 1012 and 88-12 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pawtucket, 1996, Pawtucket Water Supply Board reclassification. Call for approval for second passage on a roll call vote.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Wildenhain, second by Councilor Moran, that an ordinance repealing and replacing the schedule of pay rates for local 1012 and section 88-12 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pawtucket, 1996, regarding reclassification of the Pawtucket Water Supply Board. And this is a motion for second passage on a roll call vote. Is there any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
President Mercer.
Yes.
Council Ruzo.
Yes.
Council Codere.
Yes.
Council Gregor. Council Moran.
Yes.
Council Moreno. Council Wilderness.
Yes.
7-0.
Number 9, the Finance Committee returns the following: an ordinance repealing and replacing the scheduled pay rates for uniformed members of the Police Department in section 88-12 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Pawtucket, 1996, July 1st, 2024 to June 27th, 2027. I call for approval for first passage on a roll call vote.
Been moved by
Second.
Councilor Wilderness, second by Councilor Moran, that an ordinance repealing and replacing the schedule of pay rates for the uniformed members of the Pawtucket Police Department in section 88-12 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Pawtucket, 1996, for July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. The recommendation from the Finance Committee is approval on first passage on a roll call vote. Chairman.
One last thank you, Janine Borsti and her and entire Finance Committee, for the summary that they put together for us too, to make the committee's job a lot easier to understand all the work that everybody negotiated. So I didn't want to pass those people by.
So you wanted to wait till she left?
Yeah.
Those summaries are
Very
very helpful.
appropriate.
Very,
The-
very
the-
red line-
Those summaries are
red line.
wonderful.
Better to
Yeah,
understand.
it is very helpful to get that red line summary. So, any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
President Mercer.
Yes.
Council Ruzo.
Yes.
Council Codere.
Yes.
Council Gregor. Council Moran.
Yes.
Council Moreno. Council Wilderness.
Yes.
7-0.
Item number 10, the Public Works Committee returns the following ordinance with a recommendation for approval. An ordinance and amendment of chapter 347 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pawtucket, 1996, entitled Solid Waste. For first passage, I call for a roll call vote. To
Moved
approve.
by Council Ruzo, seconded by Council Moreno, that approval be given to an ordinance and amendment of chapter 347 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pawtucket, 1996, entitled Solid Waste. That comes with a recommendation for approval from the, excuse me, from the Public Works Committee, and it's motion for first passage on a roll call vote. Any discussion?
Yeah, if you don't mind,
Counselor?
just quickly, this is basically tightening up some of the languages and updating them, updating some of the fee structures, and, explaining the responsibility of the homeowner, et cetera. So it was just an update that's been needed for a while, and I want to thank Public Works Director Chris Crowley for his hard work on it. There was a lot of changes, but just necessary changes, and it was all spelled out.
Anyone else? In that case, clerk will call the roll.
President Mercer.
Yes.
Council Ruzo.
Yes.
Council Codere.
Yes.
Council Gregor. Council Moran.
Yes.
Council Moreno. Council Wildenhain,
Yes.
7-0.
Before we adjourn, was 2 weeks ago exactly, majority of us were here in this room for a press conference. And at the end of that press conference, a couple of colleagues asked if I would be making any remarks, or I would make some remarks at our next meeting regarding the tragedy that unfolded at the Lynch Ice Arena. And I said to them initially, I didn't know what I would have to offer to better that situation. And now we had to postpone our meeting, and it's 2 full weeks later, and I still don't know if I have any worthy words. But I'll say this, you know, this hits close to home, but it was not a Pawtucket tragedy or only a Pawtucket tragedy. It wasn't even only a North Providence tragedy. It was a familial tragedy and a societal tragedy. You know, it played out very publicly in a very public setting here in our city. It severely affected everybody in attendance. The first responders, it claimed the lives of a few folks, and it wounded a valued and beloved Pawtucket educator, the vice principal at Shea. Thankfully, he seems to be recovering, and we pray for a speedy and full recovery for him. But, you know, it could have played out anywhere. It could have been a basketball game at a high school on a local campus. It could have been a mall in Missouri, or amusement park in Wyoming. It could have happened there, and the unfortunate reality is it will happen again somewhere. We'll be doing the same thing over and over again. We'll be picking up the pieces. We'll be asking ourselves how, asking ourselves why. I'm not a rocket scientist, but then again, this isn't rocket science. You know, this is pretty basic. We need to do better. We need to do better appreciating each other instead of pointing fingers and pointing out differences. We need to do better in recognizing mental health struggles and actually doing something when the signs are there instead of ignoring them. We need to stop politicizing these tragedies, stop immediately jumping to one side and raging about gun violence or domestic violence or even identity-driven violence. It's simply violence. It's deadly violence. And, you know, it stems from ignoring warning signs. It stems from the world's ever-growing penchant for self-centeredness. You know, it stems from the erosion of civility and of empathy that comes with that apparently unyielding self-centeredism. So my take might just be too simplistic. I don't know that I have any worthy words. But as a society, as a species, we need to do better. We need to be better. So with that, I just want to say that on behalf of the entire council, that our thoughts remain with the families affected by this tragedy, and our appreciation remains for the first responders and the Good Samaritans who acted so selflessly that day. So, thank you. Counselor?
Can I add one thing, Councilman? I appreciate your comments, but I just wanted to end on a positive note today. I found out that my nephew, who's in the Air Force, achieved the rank of Master Sergeant First Class, and I just wanted to congratulate him. Scott Wildenhain, he's in Sacramento right now, serving our country, and when people do good things, I also want to recognize those too. Thank you. And it doesn't hurt that he's a Wildenhain.
Thank you, Counselor.
No further business coming before
We are
the council?
we are adjourned. Thank you.